Okay, so can business actually create peace? I know, it sounds a little naive, doesn't it? We're just so used to thinking about business in terms of, competition, profits, the bottom line. But what if that whole view is just way too small? Today, we're going to dig into a really radical idea about what business is actually for and how it might just be the most powerful tool we have for building a better world.
You've probably heard this idea before, maybe not in these exact words. For like over 50 years, this quote from economist Milton Friedman has basically been the gospel in the business world. The idea is simple: a company's one and only job is to make money for its shareholders, period. Social good, environmental impact, hey, that's someone else's problem. And this laser focus has shaped our world in some pretty huge ways, for good and for bad.
But let's be real. Look around at the world today. With massive challenges like climate change and huge social divides, is that profit-first model really working for us anymore? Is it maybe time for a new purpose? What if the real business of business is something way, way bigger? That's the core question we're exploring. So you can think of it like this. The old way sees business as just a machine. It's all about parts and pieces, it's mechanical, and it sees the world as a bunch of separate things all competing with each other. But the new paradigm that's emerging, it sees business as a living system. It's holistic, it's driven by a purpose, and it gets that everything is deeply connected. The company, the employees, society, the planet, the whole shebang.
And here's what's really wild. This new way of thinking, it's not new at all. If you actually trace the word business way back to its origins, you find it was always about having a purpose, a specific task, an aim. This idea that it's purely about profit is actually a pretty recent, and honestly, a pretty narrow take. So the big takeaway here is that business was always meant to be about purpose.
Okay, so if we're going to say the purpose of business is to create peace, we'd better be super clear on what we actually mean by peace. It's a word we all throw around, but it can mean a lot of different things. And it's for sure more than just, the absence of war. All right, let's start with the foundation. It's called weak peace. And don't let the name fool you. Weak doesn't mean it's not important. It is absolutely the active work of removing harm. We're not just talking about stopping fighting, but also taking apart the unfair systems that create conflict in the first place. Think of it as the ultimate do-no-harm principle. It's step one. You got to start here. But just not making things worse isn't the end goal, right? That's where strong peace comes in. This is all about actively building the kind of world we all want to live in. It's about seeing the presence of positive things: justice, good healthcare in schools, a healthy environment, real chances for people to live a good life. This is the shift from do no harm to actively do good. And then there's the top level. Holistic peace. Now this one's a bit bigger, a bit more profound. It goes beyond just systems and rules. It's about a much deeper understanding of our place in the universe, this deep, undeniable connection we have with each other and with the planet. This is where our actions start to line up with a higher purpose, creating a sense of balance and wholeness. So if you put these three levels together, you get this really useful visual, the ladder of morality. It's a great way to see how it all fits together. At the bottom, a business is just trying to achieve weak peace, not making a mess. As it starts to climb, it works on strong peace, actively making things better. And at the very top, it's going for holistic peace. It's all about a bigger, transformative purpose. Okay, that all sounds great, right? A ladder, different kinds of peace. It's inspiring stuff. But here's where the rubber meets the road. This gets to the heart of what this all means in practice. Because you know what they say, you can't manage what you don't measure. So the million-dollar question is, how does a company actually know where it is on this ladder? How can you track your progress from just avoiding harm to really building a better world? We need some kind of tool to turn this big idea into something you can actually work with. And that's where something called the Business Peace Index comes in. It's a tool designed to do exactly that, to take this big idea of peace and break it down into things you can actually look at and measure. It looks at a bunch of different things, but some of the key areas are a company's core purpose, its actual products and services, how it deals with its stakeholders, its leadership, and what it's doing for social development. It makes this huge goal feel, well, manageable. Okay, so let's get super practical now. What does climbing this ladder actually look like day to day for a real business? We're going to start at the bottom rung, the actions you take for weak peace. So what does this look like in the real world? It means being really aware of your impact. For instance, a company could actually study how its operations might be unintentionally stirring up trouble in a local community. It means having rock-solid anti-corruption rules, because we all know that bribery can fuel instability. It could even mean creating jobs specifically for people trying to rebuild their lives after a conflict. It's all about that do-no-harm mindset. All right,
Let's climb up to that next level. Once a company has the whole avoiding harm thing down, how can it start to actively build strong peace?
Strong peace is all about creating what you could call net positive value. This is where your company's day-to-day operations actually become a force for good. It means you're not just avoiding human rights abuses, you're actively supporting human rights all the way down your supply chain. You're taking real ownership of your environmental footprint. At its core, it's about shifting your focus to create real shared value for everybody: employees, customers, the community, not just the shareholders.
And now, we're at the very top of the ladder. This is the big one. This is the most transformative step, where a business fundamentally rethinks its entire role in the world.
Fostering holistic peace. This is all about visionary leadership. It's having the guts to ask that huge question, why do we exist, beyond just making money? It means leading with real moral integrity and from a place that truly understands that we are all in this together, people and planet. This is where a business stops being just a machine for making profit and starts becoming a true engine for transforming the world.
So we're back where we started, but hopefully with a totally new lens. For decades, the most forward-thinking businesses have been all about sustainability. And that was huge, but maybe, just maybe, that was getting us ready for the next big step. If peace, in all its deep, layered, and powerful meaning, is the next frontier for business, then the question for every single one of us is no longer just what are you selling? It's what kind of world are you building?